Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. See Wuya, Zhou suddenly called out. See Wuya's heart skipped a beat as he was pulled back from his thoughts. You want to explore the mysteries of the world, and I won't say anything about that. As for what you've said, I'll make a decision after I find the memory crystal. Zhou was effectively telling Si Wuya that even if he tried to cover his narration with heavenly flowers, he, as the master, would not easily believe him. If his memory crystal could provide answers, it was imperative that he find it. However, the realm of the other tribes in Rongxi and Rengbei was vast. How was he supposed to find it? This was, indeed, a difficult problem. Si Wuya seemed delighted at Zhou's response. He did not mind that his master did not believe him. At the very least, his master did not blame him. As for the crystal, all he had to do was to think of a way to find it. Nobody knew the answer anyway. Whether it was the method of severing the golden lotus or sprouting leaves without a golden lotus, the appearance of a 9-leaf cultivator would eventually usher in a new era in this world. Zhou was still thinking about what else to say when two voices rang from outside. Greetings, master. One voice was louder than the other. They sounded as if they were straining their voices to see who could speak louder. Little Yuan placed her hands on her hips and said, "Eighth senior brother, it's useless for you to shout. You can't go in. Little junior sister, let me in, and I'll treat you to something delicious in the future. Come on." No. Little Yuan mercilessly rejected Zhu Honggong. The bickering outside made Zhou frown. He waved his hand and opened the door with his energy. Then, he projected his voice, "Let him in." Little Yuan pulled a face at Zhu Honggong before stepping aside. Zhu Honggong chuckled and said, "You're the best, little junior sister. It'd be even better if you smile more often." Then, he sprinted into the eastern pavilion at once. Little Yuan scoffed. Then, she flew onto a beam outside the eastern pavilion. She sat between the characters of Eastern Pavilion and saw Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng approaching as well. She smiled and said, "Hey, there, want to come in?" Huh? No, we're leaving. We're leaving right now. Pan Zhong pulled Zhou Jifeng and headed in a different direction. Let's go. She's trying to use reverse psychology on us. We can't fall for it. The two of them vanished in no time at all. Little Yuan touched her face and pouted as she muttered, "I smiled." Meanwhile, Zhu Honggong walked in and fell on his knees before he kowtowed. "Please forgive 7th senior brother, master. He was here to plead on Si Wuya's behalf. He had no other intentions or schemes." Zhou looked at Zhu Honggong and asked, "You're pleading on his behalf?" "Master, 7th senior brother isn't the kind of person you think he is." Zhu Honggong emboldened himself and explained. "If it weren't for 7th senior brother, eldest senior brother would have died a long time ago. Even 2nd senior brother would have difficulty staying alive. Master, 7th senior brother really isn't the kind of person you think he is." Upon hearing this, Zhou frowned slightly. Before Zhou could say anything, Si Wuya stood up and said, "It's meaningless to mention those things. Old 8th, that's enough." "Wait," Zhou said in a deep voice. Then, he looked at Zhu Honggong and said, "Old 8th, continue." Zhu Honggong's expression was grim as he said, 7th senior brother went to beg the old monk from the Heaven Choice Temple to save my life. He kneeled there for 3 days before the old monk gave him the Zen tunic. When I returned to the Evil Sky Pavilion, I decided to help 7th senior brother even if it meant putting my own life on the line. You can choose to punish me, master, but I can't turn against the person who helped me. 2nd senior brother has a short life to begin with. 7th senior brother was the one who scoured Great Yen to gather the runes and inscribe them on the longevity sword. As for eldest senior brother, Zhu Honggong had barely started talking about Zhenghai when Si Wuya sternly said, "Shut up. Zhu Honggong was so shocked that he fell silent immediately. Lu Zhou suddenly waved his palm and sent out a hand seal. Smack! It struck Si Wuya on the cheek. Lu Zhou's gaze was pointed as he asked, "Do you think you're great? Do you think you can carry everything on your shoulders? Do you want to be the hero? Fine, I can grant you your wish." Then, he pushed his palm out. Si Wuya shuddered as he saw a huge hand seal flying toward him. Yet, he was powerless to resist. He did not dodge. Instead, he chose to close his eyes. Just as well. It's over now. Bam. Si Wuya was baffled. He did not feel any pain. Fear lingered in his heart as he opened his eyes. He discovered his body was uninjured as well. However, he noticed the remnants of a shattered chair around him. Lu Zhou retracted his palm and said, "Zhu Honggong." Zhu Honggong glanced at Si Wuya. He emboldened himself again and said, "Seventh senior brother, I don't understand. What's there to be so secretive about? It's the truth that eldest senior brother had died once. It's also the truth that you've saved him. He died once." Lu Zhou was puzzled. How could a dead man be revived? At this moment, Ming Shirin showed up outside the eastern pavilion. Little Yuan jumped down from her perch on the beam. Ming Shirin merely patted her head. She did not bar his way into the hall. As he entered the hall, he said, "It's true that eldest senior brother has died once, and it's also true that seventh junior brother saved his life. Master. You ordered me to investigate the dark net, and I did. I stumbled across seventh junior brother's personal log. In it, the date of eldest senior brother's death was written there." He produced a simple-looking note from his pocket and presented it to Lu Zhou with both hands. When he saw the piece of paper, Si Wuya furrowed his brows as he regarded Ming Shirin with shock. Lu Zhou took the piece of paper. The entries read: Great Yan Yong Qing, year 154, March 24th, eldest senior brother died. Great Yan Yong Qing, year 154, March 28th, poured water on him. Eldest senior brother remains lifeless. Great Yan Yong Qing, year 154, April 4th, poured water on him. Great Yan Yong Qing, year 154, May 2nd. Poured water on him. Eldest senior brother came back to life. Upon seeing Lu Zhou's solemn and grim expression, Ming Shirin fell to his knees as he said, "I was wrong to not present the personally log right away." Zhu Honggong prostrated himself and dared not move. Si Wuya kneeled with a blank expression on his face. The dates and the procedure on the personal log were recorded with much details. No matter how cunning Si Wuya was, he could not have possibly prepared this in advance to fool others. Lu Zhou's heart skipped a beat when he saw the words, "came back to life." He did not know if he was happy or sad. In fact, he did not know how he should feel or what he should think. He was an outsider, to begin with. He should have been indifferent to all these things. He should not feel pity for the rascal. As a transmigrator, he should be cold and heartless. The world was too huge and the hearts of men were too evil. He could very well lose his head if he was not careful. From the moment he transmigrated here, he knew he could not be soft-hearted. It was not easy to find one's footing in a dog-eat-dog world. The Evil Sky Pavilion had suffered much since its founding. Even Ji Tiandao and Lu Zhou had no choice but to resolutely continue down this path. There was no need to ask any more questions. It was better to wait for Zhenghai to personally speak about this than to question these disciples in front of him. Lu Zhou could not lose his composure, and he would not lose his composure. Ming Shirin said, "I have another report. A Confucian sect elite, Zhou, wishes to meet you." Lu Zhou acted as though he did not hear Ming Shirin's words. He frowned deeply, his expression indicated that he was deep in thought. Occasionally, his eyes would brighten. A moment later, Ming Shirin repeated his words, "Master, a Confucian sect elite, Zhou, wishes to meet you. Send her away." Lu Zhou attempted to search for information regarding Zhenghai from his memories. He was also trying to remember anything about the other tribes when he visited Rongshi in the past. No matter how he looked at it, his longevity and the nine-leaf stage were related to his 9 disciples. In the beginning, there were many things that Zhou could not remember. His attempts to kill his disciples, the heavenly writing scrolls, attempting the 9-leaf stage, he thought they were mere coincidences. In hindsight, he could see now that they were more than coincidences. Ji Tiandao clearly sealed his memories about the 9-leaf stage and his longevity in the crystal. Why would he do that? Mingxirin could tell that his master was lost in thought, so he did not dare to disturb his master. He looked at Si Wuya and Zhu Honggong meaningfully before he said, "I'll take my leave now, master." Zhu Honggong and Si Wuya had no choice but to cup their fists and said in unison, "I'll take my leave, master." The 3 of them exited the room respectfully. Even after the 3 disciples left, Zhou was still lost in his thoughts. When the 3 disciples stepped out, little Yuan leaped down from the beam. She giggled before she said, "Hello, senior brothers." "Hello, little junior sister." Mingxirin looked at Si Wuya and said, "Old 7th, you'd do well not to flaunt your shallow intelligence and petty schemes before master. I can help you this once, but I can't help you forever." Si Wuya asked, somewhat ungratefully, "That's your way of helping me? I thought you pride yourself on being smart. Master has already attained the 9-leaf stage, why would he care about eldest senior brother?" "You're dreaming if you think he cares," Mingxirin said mockingly. Mingxirin did not give Si Wuya a chance to speak as he continued to say, "That's enough. Master may be easily convinced, but that doesn't mean that I'm convinced. Great Yan's imperial family has challenged the evil Sky Pavilion numerous times. Do you think Master isn't annoyed? If eldest senior brother wishes to fight the imperial family, it's just as well. He'll be doing the evil Sky Pavilion a favor. I believe that Master won't trouble eldest senior brother for some time." Si Wuya nodded when he heard Mingxirin's words. The atmosphere was too heavy back then, and it had clouded his thoughts. Now that he heard Mingxirin's words, he knew Mingxirin was right. Therefore, he cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, 4th senior brother." "You're welcome," Mingxirin said. As soon as Mingxirin finished speaking, 2 wails rang from the middle of the mountain. "Ow. Easy. The evil Sky Pavilion isn't a place where you can act as you please. You wretched old lady. You'll regret this." "Ah." The cries sounded wretched. Mingxirin shook his head and said, "What do we do now? She has forced her way in." Si Wuya said, "Leave this to me." He turned around and walked down the mountain. Little Yuan, Zhu Honggong, and Mingxirin followed him. From above, an old woman could be seen supporting herself using a cane as she casually made her way up the steps. Meanwhile, Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng, with their swollen and bruised faces, kept retreating. Si Wuya frowned slightly. He remembered Mingxirin's words earlier and asked, "This is the Confucian sect elite, Zhou Yushu?" "That's her." Mingxirin spread his hands in a show of helplessness. This old woman came all the way here using the side path. She should have gone to the nearby town and asked around. You should be cautious. She doesn't believe in the existence of a 9-leaf cultivator. Si Wuya initially intended to intimidate the old woman by mentioning a 9-leaf cultivator. Who knew he would run into an eccentric and stubborn old woman? Zhou Yushu spent most of her days deep in the valley. She barely interacted with people. When she decided to leave the valley, it was only natural for her to avoid the crowded places. She would never deign to ask the townspeople about the 9-leaf cultivator. Shortly after, 2 more cries resonated in the air. Then, Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng ran up to Si Wuya. "Mr. 7th. Quick, stop her." Although Si Wuya seemed slightly worse for wear with his dark circles and sickly, exhausted appearance, when he straightened his back and his composure returned to him, he looked somewhat dependable. Thud. 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 The old woman with a stooped posture, Zhou Yushu, finally arrived at the top of the stairs. She looked at the people in front of her before her eyes finally landed on Mingxirin, whom she was familiar with. She said, "We meet again, young man." Hello, old senior. Mingxian said unnaturally. He thought old people's visions and memories would worsen, and yet, she remembered him. Si Wuya said, "Hello, Senior Zhou. And who are you?" "The Evil Sky Pavilion's 7th disciple, Si Wuya," Si Wuya answered honestly. Zhou Yushu chuckled and said, "I've overestimated his standards. An invalid, an airhead, a fatso, and a dimwit who wanders around. I see he's not picky about the disciples he accepts." Zhu Honggong and little Yuan were baffled. What's with her? And what's with the sudden insult? Si Wuya did not seem to take offense. He said, "You wish to meet our master, Senior Zhou?" Zhou Yushu pointed at Mingxian with her walking stick. "Didn't he tell you the reason I'm here?" Mingxian said, "Senior, you know the reason behind Feng Qinghe's death. Why must you do this?" Upon hearing this, Si Wuya could guess what this was about. He said with a smile, "You intend to avenge Feng Qinghe, Senior Zhou? All I want is an explanation. I've promised Feng Qinghe that I'll kill anyone who wanders into the valley without holding back. I spared this young man here on account of your master, but he should give me a proper explanation, don't you think so?" Zhou Yushu said. Si Wuya nodded. "Why don't I give you an explanation? You?" A contemptuous and disapproving expression appeared on Zhou Yushu's face. She was clearly irritated by Si Wuya's casual attitude. Si Wuya did not seem intimidated. He said indifferently, "Feng Qinghe, the master of the Zhensong branch, colluded with the 6 great sects and secretly incited the 10 elders of the Yuan'er sect to launch a coordinated attack on the Evil Sky Pavilion. Are you satisfied with this explanation, Senior Zhou?" Zhou Yushu furrowed her brows slightly. She studied Si Wuya for a moment before she knocked her walking stick on the ground. Bam! Web-like cracks spread across the limestone floor. The cracks lit up. Script seals? Mingxian took 2 steps backward. These runes were the same as the ones inscribed on the plum blossom stumps. Everyone, apart from Si Wuya, retreated. "You intend on bullying your juniors, Senior?" The glow from the cracks dimmed. Zhou Yushu said, "I have nothing to say to you. Tell your master to come out." "My master is unwell." "We'd appreciate your understanding," Si Wuya said. "I don't think you're giving me enough respect." No. Si Wuya waved his hand and said, "That's the truth." Zhou Yushu's expression stiffened. She raised her walking stick. Script seals appeared on her walking stick as well. "Young man, since your master didn't properly educate you in manners, I'll discipline you on his behalf." Whoosh. 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 The script seals shot out from the walking stick and sailed towards Si Wuya. Si Wuya reached behind him and grabbed Zhu Honggong. Zhu Honggong, who was suddenly and unceremoniously used as a shield, yelped. Bam. 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 The script seals landed on Zhu Honggong's chest. He rubbed his chest and said in an aggrieved tone, "Ow. 7th senior brother, what are you doing?" Zhou Yushu looked at Zhu Honggong in shock and she exclaimed in shock, "You're unharmed?" Si Wuya only said, "The Confucian sect's expansive heavenly energy is powerful indeed." Zhou Yushu could sense the sarcasm in Si Wuya's words. She tightened her grip on the walking stick with her wrinkled hand. Bam. She pounded the stick on the limestone floor again as the primal chi around her surged. Script seals appeared and spun within 10 meters of her. The others retreated. Si Wuya was about to say something when a deep voice reached them from afar. Enough. Everyone looked toward the source of the voice. A refined and calm Lu Zhou dressed in long robes appeared before everyone's sight. "Greetings, master." "Greetings, pavilion master." Zhou Yushu looked up and saw the old man who was slowly making his way toward them. Apart from shock, a hint of reverence and fear could be seen in the depths of her eyes as well.